Hi, and welcome to this series on Selenium recipes. What you should expect from these videos? Well, the point of all these videos is to show you how you can interact with different web elements while using Selenium and Java. We're going to do all our tests using the Chrome driver, so if you don't have that, please install it, and also download the Chrome WebDriver. And we're going to use multiple URLs to do our tests. The main URL that we will use is this project on Heroku. This is basically a free project that you can also use to practice, where you have the most common operations or most common web elements that you will interact with while doing Selenium automation. But before we go into the automation, let's have a quick look on the structure of our IntelliJ project. So it's not, let's say, the best structure in the world, but it's definitely functional and it's a starting point. So we have a base test. In the base test, what we do are two things. We first, in our before class, we instantiate our Chrome driver. Then we go to the main URL, we maximize the page, and for now, let's just leave this sleep over a couple of milliseconds, or better said 5 seconds. And after our tests have been done, we're closing the WebDriver. All the recipes which we are going to do are going to be in this recipe folder, and we're going to start off with text areas. And for the text areas, we're going to do a couple of tests. The first test, which I want to show you, is how we can, on this page here, enter some text in this text field. First things first. So in our Chrome browser, or if you want a different browser, be my guest, but I'm usually using Chrome, and as I mentioned, we're going to use Chrome in all the videos. We need to find out what is the element locator for this field. So how do we do that? Well, the best thing, or not the best necessarily, but how I do it, I go to inspect and I select the element and I have a look on the DOM. And as you can see here, so we have an element of type text, input text, and I see here an ID. Let's see if I have a look in the DOM. So it seems there's only one element which matches our locator of ID first name. Okay, let's give it a try. Let's see how we do this in Selenium, how we can use it in Selenium. So we go to IntelliJ and we will first create a web element. Let's give it text box 1, and we're going to do driver find element and capital B by ID. And here we're going to enter our ID, and let's see if this gives us any errors. So if we run our test, it should open our Chrome browser. It should navigate to the specific page and hopefully also find the element. It seems all was fine. To double check, let me change this ID and run it again. And now, as you can see here, that did not work because the element was not found. That is good. So now that we have located the element, we want to enter some text. A good practice is also to add the text that you want to enter as a variable. And let's see here, test for video. Okay, and how do we enter our text? Well, Selenium has a method. So if we enter here text box 1 and we press the dot, we get here the context with all the methods that we can use for this element. And let's try SendKeys. And in the SendKeys, we're going to give it the toEnter variable. Let me write some comments here. Enter value in text box 1. Okay, let's run this and see if it worked. So it seemed to have worked, but that was a little bit too fast for my taste. So one important part regarding test is you always want to check if your input or differently said, you always want to check something in your test. And in our case here, I want to check if the text that we entered is also the text which was written. So how do we do that? Well, first things first. Let's after we have entered the value for the text, let's just get the value of the text box, and we're going to store that into a string, and we're going to say value text box. And in order to get that, we again open the text box 1 menu, and let us try get text. Seems the most common one. And after we have the text, we want to check, as I said, is the text that we entered also the text that is currently available to us. And that is called an assertion. Assert that the texts match. And how do you write assertions? So the different kind of assertions. The ones that we want here is assert true. The one that we want here is assert equals. So let's type that, assert equals. And it seems it doesn't like it, but let's just continue. So assert equals has two parameters. The first one is what you want to check, and the second one is the value that is present. So let's see text to enter with actually text or value text box. And as you can see, this is now red. So IntelliJ will not. Oops. IntelliJ will not really. Does not really like or doesn't really know what to do with this assert equals. So in cases like this, what you do is you go with your mouse over it. Have here more actions. In our case, the solution for our problem is import static method, and here assert equal, and this has been now imported, and now as you can see the assert is fine. Okay, so let's give it a go and see if it worked. So it seems our test did not pass. We expected test for video, and we actually had nothing. Okay, but at the moment, we don't really can say for certain was it something that we did, in the sense, okay, maybe the text was there and for some reason the code didn't see it. And let's see what's wrong here. So we're going to add a breakpoint here, and we're going to click here on debug, and we're basically going to compare for ourselves what are the values at the time of the test. Okay, so it seems the text to enter is correct and the text value box is empty. It seems we actually did not enter. Oh, it seems we did enter the correct text here, but that would mean this part here is not getting the correct value that we want. Okay, so in such cases, if the get text doesn't work, the following should be tried. So we'll make another string text box. Let's make it 2 and we'll delete it afterwards if we see that it works. And we have get attribute. In the get attribute, we can add the value. And now let me put this one here. We're stopping the debugging and we're running the tests again. And as we can see now here, we did the debug. Our text value 2 is actually test for video, so our assertion should pass. Okay, let me just stop debugging. I'm going to name this one back to text2 and remove this part, and let us just run the test now. And it seems our test has passed, which is perfect. A good practice when dealing with text boxes is first to make sure that before entering any value in the text box, that text box is empty. So how do we do that? Let's just enter here, clear the text box, and Selenium has actually a method for that. So right now our test is complete, I would say. So we have seen how we can clear text box, send keys, and get the value. But let's run the test to see if it passes. and the test best. Perfect. In the next part, we're going to have a look at buttons. Thank you for having a look at the video. See you in the next one.